Have been coming into me since last March, introduced by locals coming in from America, naming astronomical amounts of money that they are ready to invest in Ireland on the property side. And they tell me that the place lacks certainty. So we had to give them certainty on the upward-only rent review, because whether rent moves up or down if you're trying to value a shopping centre, if it's a moving target, you can't value it, so you don't know what to offer. So we had to give certainty there, and we did that. And on the other side, they tell me, look, we were thinking of buying in Dublin, but when we looked at London, stamp duty is 1%. So we had to get competitive with the UK. So we're pulling the commercial stamp duty down to 2%. And I think more importantly, which is another driver, if anybody buys commercial property in Dublin or anywhere else in the country, but I tend to think Dublin because that's where the big overhang of the new stuff is. If they buy it between now and the end of 2013, and if they hold it for 7 years and sell, they won't be subject to capital gains tax. Now, the late Brian Lenihan last year announced that from 1st of January 2013, there'd be no mortgage relief on any house bought after the 1st of January 2013. So I don't think there's an awareness of that out there, especially among the young couples who have saved a lot of money. If you look at the Central Bank report, the most recent one, on savings, the big savings are young people under 35 and people over 50. The people in the middle are very badly squeezed at the moment. But under 35, there are significant savings. It's obviously people who'd buy houses if they thought it had bottomed out. So what I'm saying to them now is kind of stick and carrot. I'm saying, look, there was a decision last year that you might be unaware of, that you won't get mortgage interest relief if you defer your purchase decision until the 1st of January next year. But as well as that, the carrot is that I'm increasing the level of mortgage interest which you'll get if you buy in 212. So Brian's decision was you get it at 15%. I'm pushing that up to 25 for first-time buyers, and I'm pushing it from 10 to 15 for people who are trading up. Now, there's a case to be made that income derived for money on deposit should be taxed at the marginal rate of tax, which is 41%. But we're certainly not going to do that. Now, the reason why it was pulled back down to the standard rate of tax and then brought back up to 27 again was that incentives were being provided to people to save. But when savings ratios are at an all-time high and running at 14%, we don't need to incentivise saving in the economy. And in the interests of having a rate across the taxes at 30%, we're bringing the 27 on dirt up to 30. Inheritance tax will be at 30, capital gains tax will be at 30, and the minimum tax, which will be required to pay by all taxpayers, is set at 30. So now there's an equality across the range. Even the ERFs, where I promised last year when I was in the pension level to bring the notional take on those from 5% to 6%, on transfers of these, on the death of the holder to a child over 21 years of age, that's being brought from 20 up to 30 as well, to line it up with other capital tax impositions. So that's the thinking behind that, Senator. The programme for government said that we'd approach the pension issue, which was being pushed by the Troika in the Memorandum of Understanding, by capping the level of pension to which the taxpayer, through tax breaks, would make a contribution. It wasn't that your pension couldn't be bigger than 60,000, but that which was facilitated through tax breaks would be 60,000. If you wanted a bigger pension, you were on your own. You could buy, the extra pension entitlements, but you wouldn't get a tax break on it. Now, last year took a big chunk of money out of the pension business through various variations. This year I took a chunk out in the pension levy. So when you add the two together next year, in addition, there'll be 750 million taken out of the whole pensions area. So I think the pensions industry needs a breather, and I'm not going to do what the Troika wanted to do and pull the relief from 41% down to the standard rate of tax. So anybody contributing to a pension next year will get the benefit of the relief at their marginal rate. But I know this isn't a long-term solution, so I'm going to get the industry in and the various other interested parties in and talk to them in the new year to see can we come up with a solution to give the European authorities what they want, a more sustainable and a lower cost public pension scheme, and can we do it that way? As well as that, as you know, David Begg is frequently advocating that the Irish pension funds would invest more in the domestic economy, and that might give the demand stimulus which we can't provide through government, or some of it. And I think that's a pretty good idea.